Hi, welcome back to Manohar Academy. In this lesson, we are going to learn about three topics, that is method overloading, constructor overloading, and method signature. In order to understand the first two topics on the overloading, we need to understand the method signature first. Okay, here on the left hand side I have methods, on the right hand side I have the corresponding method signatures. Okay, let's take one by one. Here we have a method called public void add int I comma int j. So here public is access modifier, void is return type, add is method name, and we have two input parameters of type integer. So this is the actual method. So the method signature for this particular method is add int comma int. So here we can see that the method name is part of its signature. The input argument types, that is int and int, that is part of method signature. The access modifier public is not part of the method signature. The return type is not part of this method signature. Even the variable names, they are not part of the method signature. So now let's move on to second example. Here we have public int add int I comma int j. So here the method signature for this particular method is add int comma int. So the first method and the second method, even though they look different, they actually have the same method signature. Okay, now the third example, the third method, we have public string substring string s comma int start comma int end. This particular method have this particular signature, that is substring, which is method name, and the input argument list, that is string comma int. So we know that the access modifier, the return type, even the variable names, they are not part of the method signature. And fourth one, it is easy because we have seen three examples. So it has a signature of substring string comma int. So the first two methods, they have the same signature. So if you try to include those two methods in the same class, you are going to get a compilation error. You can define only one of those two methods because they have the same signature. Only one of them is allowed. But if we look at the third and fourth ones, we can include both of them in the method, in the class, and you are not going to get any compilation error, because even though they have same method name, they have different method signatures. So when we are writing methods, the method signature matters. So now we know that the method signature is defined by method name and method input argument list, or the type of these input arguments. And method signature does not include the access modifiers, the return types, not even the variable names that are given to the input arguments. Here the variable names s, start, end, they doesn't matter. They can be anything and they are not part of the method signature. So that is all about method signature. What defines the method signature, what is not part of the method signature, that we need to understand. And whenever we look at a method, we should be able to tell what is the method signature for that particular method. So this particular slide, it is very, very important. Given a method, you should be able to write the method signature, and writing it is very simple. Okay, that is about method signature. Now method overloading. What is method overloading? Whenever we say method overloading in a class, we actually meant creating multiple methods that have same method name but different method signatures. So what do we mean by that? So let's say we have a method called max. Here the max is the method name. It is, let's say it's going to find the maximum of the two input values that are provided to this particular method. So now let me create one more method. Here also the method name is max, but in this particular case, it is going to find the maximum of three values, whatever values we provide, but the number of values should be 3 in this case. Then it will find the maximum of those 3. And now we have one more method called max, and it's going to find the maximum value among the 4 values. So if we call the max method by passing only 2 arguments or 2 values, we know that the first method will be called. because that is a method signature, right? I mean the method name followed by argument type. So double comma double, that is the first one. If we pass 3 values, and the second method will be invoked. If we pass 4 values, the third method will be invoked. In this case, we have overloaded a method called max. The max is the method name. So the multiple methods, in this case 3 methods, they have the same method name, that is max, but they have different method signatures. So in this particular case, the method overloading is achieved by having different number of arguments. So because of having different number of arguments, they have different method signatures. Okay, this is one kind. Okay, now we are going to look at a different kind. The definition is same, basically multiple methods with the same method name and different method signatures. So let's say here we have a method called square. It is going to find the square of an input value. So if you pass 2, it will find 2 into 2, that is 4. If you pass 5, it is going to give you 5 into 5, that is 25. We have one more method. The method name is square. Method name is same, but it is taking a long value. Let's say we have one more method with the same name, but in this case it is taking a value of double. So if we pass integer value, we know the first method will be invoked. If we pass the long value, we know second method will be invoked, and if we pass the double value, the third method will be invoked. So because the type, the input argument type is part of the signature. So these 3 methods, even though they have same number of input arguments, they have different method signatures because the type of the argument is different. So in this particular case, even though we have same number of arguments, the method overloading is achieved by different types. So because the method signature contains the type of the arguments, number of arguments, the order of the arguments, everything. So here we have achieved method overloading by passing different types instead of different number of arguments. Okay, now we are going to see the combination of first two. Here we have 2 methods. In this case I am just calling the method sum method. Sum method, in this first case it is taking the arguments int, float, int, and in the second case it is taking the arguments int, float. If we see here, they have the same method name. The number of arguments is same, that is 3. Even the input argument types are also kind of same. They are taking 2 integers and 1 float. But here the order matters. So let's say we have invoked this sum method by passing int, float, int. In that case, the first method will be invoked. Very clear. If we pass integer followed by float, the second method will be invoked. If we pass something like float int, none of these methods will be invoked because obviously the method signature doesn't match. So in this case, we have same number of arguments, even the types are kind of same, but the order of parameter types is different. So here also we are able to achieve the method overloading. So the method signature is different because of that. So the method overloading can be achieved by those 3 scenarios and can be summed up in one statement. The overloaded methods, they will have the same method name, but they will have different signatures. So that is all about method overloading. Now let's talk about constructor overloading. When we have introduced constructors, we know that the constructors look exactly similar to methods, and also the main difference is constructor will be invoked with the new keyword in order to create a new object of that particular class. So here also the rules are same basically. The overloaded constructors will have same method name, that is same as class name. So all the constructors will have the same name, that is class name, and they will have different method signatures. So the input parameters or input arguments, they will either differ by type or the number of arguments or the order of the arguments. So here we can take these 2 examples, 2 constructors. So if we pass first name and last name, that is 2 string values, the first constructor will be invoked. If we pass 3 arguments, that is string and local date, then the second constructor will be invoked. So that is all about the theory. And last but not least, If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. If you like this video, if you are benefited by this video, please make sure you like it and share it with your friends so that they can also watch, they can also learn. Once again, welcome back to Manohar Academy. We'll see you in the next class. Thank you.